This session is called How to Use Internal Links, and you're going to learn how you can leverage your internal links for search engine optimization. So first off, why should you use internal links? Well, Google counts all the links in your content as votes, so to speak. And you've learned a little bit about this in some other videos. And when you link to your content often, it's giving Google the signal that that piece of content is important. So the more that you link to a particular piece of content, they're going to think this content must be really important to the users because the owner of this website continually links to this piece of content. So it must be really important. Now, it's worth pointing out that internal links, since you're linking to yourself, it's not going to count as much as getting links from external websites, from other websites, people who don't know you. But these internal votes are still very, very important. Because not only does it help the users, but it helps Google determine what you feel is the most important content on your website. So in this session, you're going to learn a few ways that you can use your internal links that will help boost the authority of your pages and your blog posts. So before we move on, let's define exactly what internal links are. And an internal link is simply any link that goes from one domain to the same domain. And there's a number of reasons why these are useful, but the most important reasons are that it allows users to navigate the website. That's the first use of an internal link, is when a user comes to your site and they're reading content, they're going to click around to find more content and find what they're looking for and take action with you and things like that. So the first and most important thing is to think about your users. Where do you want the flow of visitors and the flow of traffic to be moving through your site? And of course, internal links is how they're going to do that. Another and really important thing about these links is it establishes a hierarchy for your site, especially when you're talking about e-commerce. You'll have a navigation, and that navigation will have categories, and then those categories could have subcategories. And it establishes that structure of your site. And the structure is defined by how things are linked together. So internal links are going to define a structure or hierarchy for your site. And then what we're going to be talking about today is spreading link authority. One of the things that it will do is it will help distribute the authority around your site because Google uses the links to distribute link authority. So we're going to talk about how the best ways to distribute link authority are throughout your site using these internal links. So let's look at a few common uses of internal links, a few examples here. Now, the most common example is, of course, navigation links. And that simply means some sort of navigation bar, most websites have them, that links down to very, very important pages or oftentimes category pages. So this is the first and most important place where you're going to configure your internal links because this is what's used the most by users. When a user lands on your site, if they don't quite find what they're looking for, or maybe they did like what they found, but they want to find more, one of the first places they look is to the navigation, the main navigation bar. So you're going to want to link these to very, very important high-level content, whether it's cornerstone content, meaning the most important topics you want to talk about to your visitors, or category pages if we're talking about e-commerce, or oftentimes blogs can link to blog categories as well. So the navigation is the first place that you're going to want to optimize your internal links. The second place here is the sidebar. I'm sure you've seen almost all blogs out there have some form of sidebar links, and these links can link out to other websites, but oftentimes they're going to link internally. They're going to link to popular posts, they're going to link to popular comments, they're going to link to pages that that particular website owner wants people to be seeing. So optimizing your sidebar links is very important because it directs the flow of traffic, and both visitors and search engines are going to be following these links. So it's very important. And it's also worth pointing out that these links are on every single page. So when you have links that are on every single page, it's going to count quite a lot. Interestingly enough, although it'll have the most number of links, because there's so many, Google starts to devalue them a little bit. But we're going to talk about that a little more here on the next slide, which is content links. Now, post body content, when you have a link inside of an article, and when I say article or post, it doesn't necessarily mean we're talking about blog posts being on something like WordPress. This is the same for any sort of content, whether it's on WordPress or any content management system or even just raw HTML. that is the most important and the highest authority link that you can give. So anytime inside your post that you're linking out, always remember that that's the most important link you're going to do. That's the highest authority. And interestingly enough, it's actually in order. The first link in any particular post is going to be the most powerful link, and then it diminishes from there. So if you're trying to pass link authority to a particular page, the first link in that blog post is the best place to do it. And let's say, for example, you have 100 blog posts, and in 30 of them, the first paragraph links to one particular page. That's a clear indicator that that page is highly relevant, and you really, really want a lot of link authority over there, and you want users to go there. So Google's going to listen, and they're going to pass a lot of authority to that page, and it's going to help that page rank. So always think about your post body content links, and most importantly, the first link inside that post body content. So let's talk about a couple of best practices. Now that you know how the links are used, it's a good idea to know how to use them well. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is anchor text, because this is very, very important to use properly. Now, most folks want to put a lot of keywords in there, and that's fine, but stay natural. It's very, very important that you don't link to one page with the same anchor text over and over and over. That looks overly robotic. In April of 2012, they released an update called Google Penguin, and Google Penguin actually targets blog owners that link to pages with overly optimized anchor text. So if your internal links have too many keywords in it, they feel like you're stuffing them, like you're trying to game the system a little bit. So they started to penalize folks a little bit for doing that. So use keywords, but use variations. Use semantic variations, use the words in different order, always be natural. Don't just link with just the keyword, link with things like click here to learn more about, and then the keyword. So just again, be natural and don't link to the same page with the same anchor text too often. So another thing to keep in mind is the total number of links on a particular page. Now, this is something that Matt Cutts, who is the head of Google's web spam team, mentioned a while back on his blog, and he said to keep the number of links under 100. This is in Google's technical guidelines section. So they published this, and they do say that it is a best practice to stay under 100. Now, they do say that if you have hundreds or even thousands, that's okay. They're not going to penalize you for having more, but it is a best practice and a good rule of thumb to stay under 100. Unless you have an absolutely massive site. I mean, Amazon.com massive. You don't need that many links. Most blogs can get away with having just navigation, sidebar, footer, and then a couple of links inside the content. And staying under 100 is pretty easy to do for sites that size. So that's a good rule of thumb to keep in mind. Okay, so now let's take a look at how you can set up internal links like we talked about here inside of WordPress. Okay, so here is the WordPress dashboard in our WordPress demo site that we've been using here. So the first thing that I'll want to do is set up the main navigation. Now to do that, you're going to go to Appearance and Menus. And there's a couple of steps that you'll need to do. And the first step is to simply create a menu. And to do that, you type the name in here, and I'll type in Main Nav. Click Create Menu. And then now that creates this little area here that you can drag and drop content into. So to get the content, you can come down here to Pages. And I've created a couple of pages that we'll use as examples that we may want to link to because it's incredibly important. And we want to have links from every single page on our blog here to these pages. So what I'll do is I'll click these, Playing Fetch, Dog Training, and then just a link to our blog. And I'll click Add to Menu. As you can see here, it added these pages here. Then I'll simply click Save Menu. Now let's take a look at our demo site and see what that looks like. Sure enough, it has a home link, which is a default in this blog's theme. It's always going to have a home link. Blog, Dog Training, and Playing Fetch. So there we go. There's our links to our most popular pages. Very, very simple. WordPress makes it pretty easy to set up your main navigation. Now, the second thing that I'd like to show you is how to use a sidebar widget to link to pages. So I'll click Widgets, which is also under Appearance. And you can see here it says Primary Widget Area. That's where we can add our links. Now, there's an interesting way just by dragging this Pages widget, and you can type in anything you want here, Pages, clicking Save. What it'll do is it will display links to all of your pages. I'll click refresh here and you'll see, there we go, Pages, Blog, Dog Training, Playing Fetch. And that's good and fine if you only have a few pages, but the problem is it will list out all of your pages. And if you only want to have a few and you have hundreds of pages, you have to go through this lengthy process of excluding pages. Unfortunately, it's an exclude and not an include, which I feel would have been a little bit better. So let me show you how to create a widget that links just to the pages that you'd like to. So first off, we'll go ahead and delete that widget. And what I'd like you to do is drag the text widget over here into the primary area. And I'll type pages for the title. And in here, we're going to do just a little bit of simple HTML. The first thing we're going to do is an unordered list. Then we'll create a few list items. And I'll copy and paste this. First, I'll add a link inside, the ahref equals, and I'll just do a hash for now. So this is our simple skeleton for some links. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab the links for the pages that I'd like. And I'm going to use these two here, Dog Training and Playing Fetch. And I'm just going to copy this URL, head back over to the widget, paste it here, type Dog Training and in the link. And then for the next one for Playing Fetch, same thing, copy that URL, paste it in here, type in Playing Fetch, and end the link. So by doing a little bit of simple HTML, we can have a lot more control over what pages you'd like in your sidebar. So now I'll close these and we'll take a look here again. And what you'll notice here is the blog should disappear. And there you go. That's a simple text widget with a little bit more control. Again, you're not going to see too many issues if you only have a few pages, but that widget doesn't work too well. This way you have much more control and you have control over the anchor text. So if you wanted to change up the anchor text a little bit here to make things a little more natural, because we have Dog Training and Playing Fetch, you may want to come over here and do a different variation. We could do something like training your dog. Click Save, come back over here and refresh. And now it says training your dog. So now we're getting a little variation in our anchor text, which, as you know, is very good when it comes to SEO. You want to keep things natural. So lastly is our content links. Now let's go look at one of our blog posts, and we have a sample blog post called How to Train Your Dog to Sit in 3 Simple Steps. And in here, we have just some placeholder content, but I want to show you how to use the link tool so that when you have your content open, you can link easily. Now, let's say, for example, we wanted to use this piece of text to link to our dog training page. You simply highlight the text, come up here to this little chain link here, click it, and it pops up a really nice little dialog, and you can just click the page. So here's the dog training page. I'll click that, and you can see it automatically put in the URL. Click Add Link, and there you go. Now you see that it is an active link. Click Update. All right, now we'll click View Post. And sure enough, here is our text link linking to our dog training page. So as you can see, it's pretty simple to use WordPress to set up links, both by defining your menu, setting up some widgets, and then using that anchor tool inside of your posts to link internally. So that'll give you the tools you need to link to the content that you'd like to on your blog. Okay, so in conclusion, linking internally is very, very important, and you're going to want to link to important pages very often. And it's a really, really good best practice to vary your anchor text. So definitely make sure that you're not always linking with the same keywords, but definitely use internal links as much as you can. And always remember that when you're linking inside of a blog post or inside of content, the first link in that post is going to be the most powerful link that you have to give. So always use that link to link to a very, very important page on your blog. That'll send a lot of link authority to that page and help that page rank well in search engines.